Divorce Deconstructed, the discovery process. What is it? Why do you need it? What does the discovery process look like? And is it necessary? First, what is legal discovery, right? That's the lawyer verbiage. Legal discovery is just another way of saying it's investigation for the purpose of finding proofs and evidence relevant to your case. It's finding evidence. It's finding that supporting factual stuff that I, as a lawyer, am going to use to, get you a good result in your case. What are some easy typical examples? It's financial documents, it's tax returns, it's pay stubs, it's bank statements, right? The classic things that are going to support a lot of the financial parts of a divorce, whether it be child support, property division, spousal support. Those would be classic types of evidence you're going to get in a discovery process on the kind of the financial property side. On a child-related sort of issues, you would think of things like medical records, records of appointments and treatment for a child via psychiatrists and medical treaters, school records, school attendance reports, tardiness, absence, grade report, academic performance. So that is what we're talking about. We're basically forcing and requiring the turnover of that sort of documented evidence. That's what legal discovery, that process, is. Now, why is it necessary? Let me check off a few boxes here. First of all, sometimes it's just for the simple purpose of sort of verification. Maybe there isn't a lot of question, but you just want to see it in writing. You think you know what your spouse earns. You think you know the value of her 401k plan. Because, right, there's some assets that are naturally just going to be in one person's name or the other. And maybe in my case, I run a small business. I run a couple businesses, and I'm pretty open and forward with my wife about what I'm doing income-wise and financially. But, in a very real way, some of my small business stuff is very much, sort of separate stuff that I'm involved with that she doesn't have access to. So that would be the sort of thing I would just want verified if I were going through a divorce. Additionally, sometimes you just don't know. It's not even you need to just sort of verify what you think you know. There's certain situations, right, where I certainly know families where they have just kept their finances separate, right, throughout their entire sort of relationship and marriage. And, maybe I'm not the spouse who sort of manages our investment portfolio or manages our day-to-day finances. And I need to know what's there. I need to know the cost of things. I need to know the income. I need to know how this business is functioning, how this investment portfolio is functioning. I simply know nothing, right? I'm the spouse that's just been out in the cold. So why do you need to undertake a discovery process? Sometimes it's for mere verification. Sometimes it's simply nothing, and that's right, a pure discovery of what's going on his or hers financial kind of interests side of a case. And then I think the last sort of answer on the why to discovery, it would be if you know this case is really going to go down a hearing, a contested track, right? If you're going down a hearing, right? If you're having a hearing, if you're having a trial to complete your divorce, and just some of your classic issues, right? You're talking about how a business is going to be divided. you're talking about how spousal support is going to get set. You need to present evidence on what's the income of this business? How much is it earning each year? What's it worth? We have a case right now where we're doing a business valuation, putting a value on a small business, right? If you're setting child support or spousal support, you need to produce evidence on what everybody's income is, because that's basically how child support and maintenance are set. It's math formulas based on income. So why do you need to conduct discovery? To verify evidence, to actually find evidence. And sometimes it's basically to get ready for hearings and trials. So what is discovery? Why do you need to do it? What's the process? That's an answer that could take a long time. Generally, it's a less than 6-month process where you're exchanging documents. Here's some of the legal words. I won't use the legal words. You're requiring another party to produce documents, to produce a lot of those things I'm talking about. Financial stuff related to a child, maybe it's medical information. It's turning over documents. It's requiring somebody to answer questions, on the record, where you're going to be bound by this answer. How many times did you see your son overnight in calendar year 2021, and, signing off on that, because now that's, admissible evidence. So you're putting somebody on the record, either in writing or verbally, via like depositions, right? That's a thing. Somebody's being asked questions under oath, and you're being required to turn over documents, right? Information about my business, bank accounts, checking accounts, retirement plans, those sorts of things. So that's the process. And how long does it take? It really just depends. I would say a month or two at the minimum, probably 6 months-ish on the maximum. And that's really going to be guided by, I would say, the complexity of what we're talking about, right? Are we talking about maybe your very average sort of bland finances of a person who has income and is an employee, maybe has a 401k plan and a house, where it's just kind of putting together some bank statements and income pay stubs, W-2s? Or conversely, are you a person who has all these weird business assets, right? I own, a couple small businesses, and then I have, minority interests in these different companies, and how much is that worth? And yeah, I own an airplane. And so how long often is directed by sort of that complexity piece. So we're talking about the legal discovery process. What is it? Why do you need it? What's the process look like? And then lastly, is it necessary? Because it can be something that drags on sometimes longer than it should, in my humble opinion. So is it necessary? And the answer to that really is not always. Here would be just a couple bullets. Do you know everything that's out there? You might say, you never know for sure. But, if you haven't been married that long, and even if you might be having some marital difficulties that's leading to a breakdown in your marriage, do you still have access to the accounts? Have you historically kind of shared that information with each other? Maybe kind of had family financial meetings and stuff. So if you know everything, it might not be necessary. Do you have access to all those accounts? It might not be necessary. Sometimes, again, maybe a short-term marriage and you're able to support yourself, and you kind of don't care if you're going to get maybe a little child support or a little spousal support from your former husband or wife. You just want the case over with. That would be another reason to really not conduct a lot of discovery. You want the case over ASAP, and that's your most important priority, not an extra $100 a month from your ex-husband. So if you kind of know everything and you have access to everything, and or you want the case done fast, regardless, those would be some reasons actually to not conduct discovery. So the discovery process is another, one of those big chunks that you need to be aware of going through a divorce. And just in closing, be involved, and I would say that on both sides of the coin. If you have a requirement to kind of turn over and answer discovery, do it. Because I have many, many cases that are delayed just because our client isn't giving us what we need, right? The other side in a case has the right to ask for stuff. So turn it over. Give us the tax returns, give us the bank statements, give us the credit card statements, or your case is never going to get done. That would be one statement, would be, do the work. Do the work, because this is really sort of a more of a client process really than a lawyer process. It's getting that stuff that you have access to, getting it to your lawyer. And then sort of on the flip side, kind of hold your lawyer accountable too, sort of along the line that we're talking about. Is it necessary? How much discovery does your lawyer really need to ask for? And be on the same page on that. If you know stuff, if you have access to stuff and not much discovery is needed, tell your lawyer, no more, I want the case over with. Or conversely, if some discovery is needed, great. A lot of times it is. But let's not, making it too much of a fishing expedition can be that case that just becomes sort of a black box, a black hole, whatever you want to call it, analogy-wise, where it just keeps going and it never gets finished. So there's an overview of the legal discovery process.